keep smiling down.
Hey, what's up guys? TechTine here, and let me ask you a quick question. Well, this is the review of the Galaxy A23 5G, that's what the title says, but you're watching this video because of one of two reasons. One, you're either a tech enthusiast and are interested in these types of devices. Two, you're actually looking to buy this phone. So, I'm gonna round everything up. I have a couple of videos that I've already made on this phone. I'll leave them linked in the description below, but this will be kind of the final review and my final thoughts on it. So let's go ahead and get started. And of course, we're gonna talk about the design in the beginning. So this phone is well designed, well engineered, and it does what you would expect from a $300 phone. You're not gonna have the most premium material. Yeah, the back is made out of plastic. The camera does protrude a little bit, more on that later. But it still looks clean. So the back does have this matte plastic finish, and it's a very smooth surface, so it will get slippery. However, on the contrary, it does not catch fingerprints, so kind of balanced. I do recommend the case on it, and I'm assuming that whoever's gonna buy this phone is gonna go ahead and slap a case on it. The back does have a quad camera setup. More on that in a little bit. And the right hand side does have the fingerprint sensor as well as the volume up and down. The bottom has your headphone jack, the fast charging USB-C port, and a microphone as well as a bottom facing speaker, which we will get to listen to in a little bit as well. So definitely a lot going for the design. So far, so good. Now the display. So this has a really nice display for the price that you're paying for this phone. So a couple of features. One, well, it's not really a feature. So it is a 1080p full HD plus display, and it does have one of the nicest IPS panels that I've seen in a while in a budget smartphone. So it definitely gets a thumbs up from me. It's not OLED, but it is IPS panel, and for those who's wondering, this does support a 120 hertz refresh rate, so definitely a quality display, no doubt about it, right? 120 hertz, 1080p panel. The only thing that it's missing is an OLED, but it can get a pass for $300. And the watching experience, media consumption, scrolling through social media is really nice, really crisp, really clear. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy it. And listen, you're gonna like it. As far as the speaker, it's a bottom facing speaker, not really the greatest, but it does the job and it does it well. Here's a listen. Okay, so far, design, thumbs up, display, thumbs up, right? Everything is all good. So let's talk a little bit about specs. So it has the following specs. You have a Snapdragon 695 5G chip, 4 gigabytes of RAM, as well as 64 gigabytes of storage, and a 5000 milliamp hour battery. So I did do a Geekbench, so you guys can get an idea of how the benchmarks are and what they really mean. We'll discuss that in a little bit. So here are the scores. So you do get a 678 single core and 1964 multi-core. And I was thinking like, okay, what should I compare this to? So I went ahead to the list that Geekbench already provides, and none of the phones are, as far as the score comparison, they don't really, I don't know, I haven't really interacted with them, so I didn't know what to think of it. So I went to the multi-core score to see, and same deal. So here's what I did. I went ahead and grabbed the Galaxy A13 5G, and look, there's definitely a clear difference. So the single core is way higher. The multi-core was definitely way higher. So definitely so far, so good as far as the CPU end of things. The Galaxy A13 is at around 280. The A23 is at 300. And it comes in very varieties, so this version does only have 4 gigabytes of RAM. But when it comes to opening apps and closing them, the messaging app, the phone app, the web browsing app, Google Chrome in this case, and just the everyday tasks, it performs like a boss, just what you would expect. Really impressed from a $300 phone. And playing games is also gonna do you justice, whether it's a high intensive graphics game or a low intensive graphics game. I think you should be proud of the result that this phone gives you. As far as specifications, when you look at the price. So the only complaint that I have, and this is only for this specific model, is that it only has 4 gigabytes of RAM. Now, there are international models and unlocked models that have 6 or even 8 gigabytes of RAM with higher storage, but I'm just reviewing the unit that I have with me. So let's circle back and talk about this camera. So you do have a quad camera setup. I did a full review, link will be in the description. So a main sensor of a 50 megapixel, a ultra wide at 5 megapixel, and a 2 megapixel macro, 2 megapixel depth sensor. And the camera overall, if you've seen my review, you will see it's definitely a very positive review. The colors are vibrant, vivid. The wide angle does take a hit, but overall it just performs really well. There are areas in which this camera struggles in, not in colors, especially to me, but it does tend to overexpose here and there. The bokeh effect is nice, it does show detail, but again, the problem that it has consistently is that it does overexpose. The dynamic range is also impressive for the price that you're paying for this phone. Definitely does it justice, especially in a well lit situation. Low light is going to take a hit, and that's just what it is. At the end of the day, this is a budget phone. You're going to see more noise level and just a lower quality. It is what it is. The selfie camera is also impressive. It's not as good as the main camera, obviously, but it's definitely respectable. The downside of this camera, to me personally, comes down to video quality is not as impressive as I would like it, especially because this also has optical image stabilization. More on that in my final review of the camera, so I'll leave it link in the description below. But it does a decent job here and there. For some reason, when I point it at a certain subject, it just washes out the color, but when you point it at the sky and the trees, it just has much better color representation. I think that's kind of weird, but that's just me. So yeah, overall the camera quality definitely gets a thumbs up from me. It does what you would expect it, and this is definitely a really good camera for the price, of course. Okay, this phone comes in at a price of $300 to start. So you do have variants with 6 gigabytes of RAM and even 8 gigabytes of RAM with higher storage, but I'm just basically talking about what I have. The battery life on here has been consistently good, right? Not the greatest because I do have 120 hertz on all the time. That's just how I want to use the phone. Let's go back to the original question that I asked in the beginning of the video. You're either watching this because 1, you're an enthusiast, 2, you're looking to buy this phone. Now, if you're an enthusiast, there are some areas that you will be disappointed, specifically in video quality, and you may or may not complain about the storage. Me personally, 64 gigabytes is low in 2022. I think at this point we should be starting on 128 gigs and more. But if you're someone who's looking to buy this phone, look at what you had before. If you are coming from a Galaxy A13, if you're coming from a Galaxy A21, then trust and believe that you will not be disappointed with this phone. It does what you would expect. It works really well in pretty much all the conditions that I've put it to the test in. But at the end of the day, listen, only time will tell how good a phone is. So I may just come back to it in 6 months to see how this phone will perform. If it performs the same, if it's in lower quality. But as of right now, this is definitely something worth recommending for people who are looking to buy a new phone and are coming from a lower quality device. Now, if you're asking me between this or the Stylus 5G from Motorola or the OnePlus Nord N20, this is gonna take some time to make these comparisons. So if you want to see that, definitely leave a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to the channel. But trust and believe these comparisons will happen if you guys are interested. So that's up to you. Leave it in the comments below. Let me know what you guys want to see in the comparison. Do you want me to compare this with the Galaxy A13? Because I will definitely do that. I'm really considering doing that to begin with. And yeah, with that being said, listen guys, I just want to take a second and thank you all so much for watching. If you even made it to this point of the video, man, you're amazing. You're awesome. Leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. You probably already subscribed if you made it to this point. I really do greatly appreciate you guys for watching, and I'm working on great things coming really soon, so don't miss out. Stay tuned. Thank you all for watching, and I'm out.